Every month, RBP saves just one customer from one automation over 8,000 clicks a month. So what do I mean by that? Well, this is a tool called Make. And so every time something happens in here, it's extracting, transforming, and loading. And it's creating, reading, updating, or deleting something, right? So this client, Hoffman Weber, right, has a trigger that comes from QuickBooks, right? And now this router is essentially saying, okay, well, what is happening? So for example, if a payment is created, so that's the only time this creates, or if it's I'm going to zoom out a bit here, then I'll scroll up and zoom in, or this one here is like getting an invoice. And so it only continues if the doc number starts with INV dash. So it's essentially saying search for an invoice matching that number. So then it goes and can update an invoice. So it can update an existing invoice. So this would be an option where there's other options where it's like updating things in HubSpot for job costing. So it'll say, okay, if the title has a deal ID. So if the title of the invoice, right? So first what it does is it says, okay, get the payment, because it's trying to log a payment in HubSpot. So you can say, okay, what are the outstanding payments? So it goes to get a customer. Now from there, it continues if the title has a deal ID. So then it lists any associations in HubSpot that have that deal ID. Then if the invoice already exists, then it can create a custom object record, which is a custom object record is a payment, right? Or sorry, deposit, which is like a payment. And then it fills out basically what is the payment amount, who is this, like what is the date that it happened, what is the QBO payment ID, so it kind of links back to it. It puts the whatever's in the private note in here. It gets the and creates the QBO deposit account. So this is like what chart of accounts it came from. What is the payment method? So then what is that? The QBO invoice ID. So it kind of pairs this up. And there's an associated invoice number and a reference number. So it gets all that information back in HubSpot. It creates an association. So basically associates it back to the deal ID, right? So basically says, hey, this payment is associated to this deal. And it also associates it to the custom object contact. So basically it says this person on this deal paid us this payment. And so then now we can, future automations can basically say, hey, this is what happened. The cool thing that's coming for us is saying, okay, well, where can we start introducing agentic workflows into this? So agents, like how do we start using model context protocol and agents for this? Because this is handling everything. Like in this case, this is happening if it's a payment created. Let's talk about a deposit. So, okay, so like this is an expense, right? So it's a bill created. So basically says, hey, go get this bill from QuickBooks, and then it iterates through to find the customer, right? And get the customer from it. And then it says, okay, go create a custom object that is a bill. So it's an expense and says, okay, this is the bill amount. This is the description. This is the class, right? From QBO, the memo, but then it also pulls the vendor and the vendor name and then what account it comes from, so that in the future, like in the next steps, what it does is it basically says, okay, well, let's create a custom object, which is a bill, right? So this is the bill, and it basically now says this is what this bill was, and pulls that to say, okay, well, now let's associate that to the deal, saying that, hey, we had a expense incurred on this deal. And it also then you can kind of use in HubSpot, it then can calculate the job costing. So this makes it so that the source of truth is your accounting, which is what it should be. The source of truth should be your accounting. But HubSpot can live as a source of truth based on this action. But it also works if there's payments. So we've got deposits, bills, payments on accounts. Scrolling is kind of awkward, but all of this stuff allows us to do this. So in this case, it's a journal entry. So this is a common problem. The accountants might do journal entries. They adjust things. So if the change in QuickBooks was a journal entry, then it can go through and say, okay, well, let's go get the customer, and then let's go create or update these objects, right? Like such as the bill name, so that if this is edited, it doesn't mean that like now out like QuickBooks and HubSpot are out of sync. This workflow automation, if I go back here, this automation has run 8,600 times this month, right? So this thing's happening every single day. This is happening. So that's 8,600 times that somebody in the company didn't have to click, go read something, copy, paste, edit, change, calculate, find out the percentage of, line up, correct. This just happens every single month automatically, making it so that this is just an autopilot for so much of the syncing that needs to happen. Just some of the cool stuff that we build at RBP, and I kind of want to share it because I'm really proud of some of the stuff that we've made. Like this has been running for well over a year without any support having been given to the customer. Like they haven't made any requests for changes or updates or anything like that. It just runs. It just runs, and it saves the bookkeeping accounting side of the business 8,600 clicks a month. Over 1 million clicks per month are saved by all of the different scenarios that we have running because we have a lot of them. This is just one folder. So yeah, pretty cool, right?